Hello, everyone. A very good evening, very good afternoon, good morning to everyone. So, a very warm welcome to one and all present here. So, let us wait till everyone present, everyone who registered for this webinar, join for it and be a part of this discussion today. Yeah. Let us have all the participants with us joining this discussion. Hello, Gauri. Hello, Suresh. Hello, everyone. So this is primarily this topic is being designed and structured in uh, in keeping in lieu of the participants who are primarily looking forward for their research proposal submission, or for the participants who are looking forward for selecting, or primarily they are starting off, or they are at the verge of beginning their research journey, right? So this is important. This is of importance for the candidates, for the participants, for the researchers who are at the junction where they are seeming to be confused that which particular topic to go for, which particular topic to choose for, and most importantly the question comes that which particular topic and how exactly to go for it. All right, so many questions will be answered with this webinar. And uh, these webinars we primarily keep in we design keeping in mind that this is aiming to answer the queries of generic audience. So this is not aiming of for any particular kind of domain specific audiences. So any kind of specific examples who are answering for any engineering or biotechnology or biomedical sciences students who are looking for their answer specific. However, every query will be answered, so every generic query will be answered. That will definitely pave the way for your specific query. So in any which ways your query will be answered. So don't get confused that my specific example was not used or my specific domain example was not used. However, every domain is being generically being used because we are designing these webinars with a perception that all the audience should get benefited, should get their advantages of understanding that how need to be proceed. And then once you get the basic understanding that how to move ahead, then you can carry forward that how we can take ahead. Like for example, if I am talking about that how to choose the topic, so when I'm telling you the path, and any which ways, any which domain you are from, following that path you can choose your research topic. So be it your research topic is of science or humanities or psychiatry or psychology, the path can be common. However, it can lead to different goals. All right, all right. So I think we have enough people for the time being and we can start off. So as you all know that this particular webinar or these series of webinars are being organized by research graduate. The organization is being aimed for solving your queries for topics like topic selection, proposal writing, review paper writing, or research paper writing, or thesis writing, wherein you can call research graduate as one stop solution for all your research queries, for all your research understandings which you lack on. You can rely on the team. And when you say that you can rely on the team, you need to get in touch with the team by getting in touch with the following email ID, which is flashing on your screen. The number is there on your screen. And also, you can browse the website researchgraduate.com, where you can have a look in detail that what all services Research Graduate is providing, and what all kind of in-depth details you want to you're looking forward to. You can have a look by having a glance on their website. Okay, so this was about the organization. And when it comes to the webinar, as you all know, that this primarily the structure of the webinar is of 90 minutes, followed by the series of question answers round. So when it comes to question and answers, I don't primarily put a clock of 30 minutes. Each and every question will be answered, so don't be worried about that. Your questions will be answered irrespective of the number of questions. Okay, so your ppts and the recording will be given to you, certificates will be given to you. And your YouTube quality, I request that the video quality on the YouTube should be, you should increase it to 720p, just to ensure that you have better experience. So all the people who are accessing this webinar, who are viewing this webinar through phone, it's better to just sometimes phone does not give you that improved version of the video, so you guys might can have some glitches. So better be, if you can switch to a bigger screen, that would be great. Okay, all right, so let's get started. Firstly, now I'm aiming that I am directing these sessions to the people, to the researchers who are primarily looking for their research topic, okay, and who are primarily looking for their research proposal submission. All right. So when it comes to research proposal submission, so all of us, we have a fair good understanding that sometimes we lack that what is something there, what we are supposed to do. Okay, is it a synopsis we need to do? Is it we are supposed to do a thesis by the end of it? Yes, you are supposed to develop a thesis by the end of it, but how to get hold on that thesis, right? How to develop that thesis, right? So the question comes that how to get to that thesis, how to get to the root of that thesis, that is your research, how to start that research. So to get to that understanding, firstly you need to have a fair good understanding what exactly is a research. Okay, when you say that research, firstly and the foremost requirement is that when you say research, it is, that means you are understanding a problem. Okay, when I say problem, that means something which is not been studied in the past. Okay, don't say problem is, now there is not a problem in my domain. What I mean by problem is that a problem is a gap. You got it? Problem, by stating here, I mean you need to find a problem that is a research gap in your domain. Okay, so research is when you conduct a study on that problem, on that research gap. Okay, that is a research, which is a constant study of a research problem, or what you say that research gap. All right, that is called a research firstly. Now when I say that, what is a research? Primarily there are two kind of research. Okay, now one is inductive, one is deductive. Now you must have heard these kind of terminology. Before I move ahead, can I ask you guys that what exactly do you understand by inductive or deductive, or any which ways this is there in your screen? Inductive research, it observes, it analyzes it analyzes observed event, while deductive methods, it verifies the observed method event. That means it happened, right? Let me go you and show you this, then I'll go back to this slide once again. Okay, now I'm talking about inductive reasoning, inductive research. Okay, now you made a observation, you recognize that something is happening in that observation, and then you made the conclusion out of it. Okay, that is inducing something, inductive research. When you say deductive research, there is an existing theory, a plus b is equal to c. On the basis of that, you formulate your hypothesis. Now, what is hypothesis? Understand hypothesis. What are hypotheses? Hypothesis is an assumption. Okay, whenever you hear the word hypothesis, hypothesis means it is that statement which is, unless and until it is tested, it is an assumption which can be, which cannot be true. Okay, so unless and until, with the help of your research, you test it. Understand, with the help of your research, you test it, it is an assumption. Okay, so that is an hypothesis. So in deductive reasoning, exactly, we know you said it very rightly. From a general statement, you are formulating an assumption. You have an assumption, that is a hypothesis, that this might can be true, this might be true, right? So in order to test it, that whether it is true or not, you are collecting data, you are running research, you are collecting information, you are conducting interviews, you are conducting surveys, you are analyzing that information, then you are performing your test, and you are concluding, or you are going to find out the results, that whether this hypothesis, this assumptions, what you formulated at the initial steps of your research, is true or not. For example, I'm saying, if any researcher, now I'll give you an example which is happening right now. Okay, so there is a research which has been going on, in a hospital in Delhi, which is based in Delhi, RML hospital. Okay, wherein there are the doctors are trying to find out that there is a particular mantra, there is a particular chanting in Hindu mythology, which is, many of you must be knowing it, that is Mahamrityunjay mantra, the Mahamrityunjay chanting. How this chanting creates a positive impression on the patients who are critically ill. Okay, so this study, which has a duration of 3 years, is being right now is being performing. Okay, so which, now this is, now the doctors are trying to test this hypothesis, that which states that, according to our mythology, which says that yes, my chanting Mahamrityunjay mantra has a positive impact on a person who is critically ill. Okay, so now doctors are trying to test it, that whether it is a proven fact or not. Okay, so what they're doing is that, within the radius of that hospital, within the radius of 13 kilometers of that hospital, they have asked some priest to chant that mantra, and they are then witnessing the impact of the health, on the health of the patient, who are hearing that chanting, as compared to the patients who are not hearing that chanting. You're getting my point? So as to see that whether there is an improvement or there is no improvement. Okay, so this study, as of now, it is in the midst of its timeline. That is 1.5 year is already been passed out. 1.5 year is been remaining. So after 3 years of this timeline, you will get to know the results, that how much or whether this hypothesis that yes, Mahamrityunjay chanting has a positive impact on the critically ill or critically ill patients, or there is a positive association between the chanting of the particular month on the health of the patients or not. Okay, so this is the example which I'm trying to tell you, that deductive researchers actually let you test certain assumptions. With the help, you collect the data and you verify those assumptions and hypotheses, that whether it is true or not. Okay, in inductive researches, you form those hypothesis, like in the form of a theory or a concept or a definitions or a pattern or a conclusion. Okay, so you can say that sometimes the inductive research is being tested with the help of deductive researches also. Okay, let's say some conclusions are being formulated by conducting qualitative research in inductive reasoning, inductive researches. So same research, same theory is being tested in deductive research by conductive quantitative research. Okay, so I hope till this time it has been clear. So now till this time we have been clearly understood that what is research is, where you are understanding that how much your hypothesis, the stated assumption, has been true or not, and whatever knowledge you have been gaining or you have gained so far, so it is substantially been collated or not. You collate that body of knowledge and you try to answer certain questions for further queries. Okay, all right, so this is we done. So in short, if I tell you that what are the characteristics of research, so firstly, you have a particular problem. That's I told you already, that you start your research with a problem in hand. Okay, a particular problem you are focusing on. Okay, that is your root cause which leads your research to go up to your eventual results of the research. That is the particular focus of your research which you are trying to answer. Okay, obviously, needless to say, it is a systematic procedure. It has to be logical. Like I said, that the particular research which has been currently been happening in Delhi, it is a 3 years research, so obviously it has to be systematic one. What all steps needs to be taken care of in that 3 year journey of the research. It can be replicable means if somebody else wants to confirm the findings of those research. Let's say, for example, currently, let's say the particular research is being happening on the patients of neuro disease. If tomorrow some other researchers would like to perform the same research on some cardiac patients, so the findings can be replicated. Some, your research should be of that scope. All right, then your research should be first of all, mostly important, should be action oriented. That means, again, I'm taking back to that examples, that when this particular research of this chanting of that particular month, that means the results of that findings will tell you that whether there is a positive influence of the chanting of that month or not. If there is a positive influence, that means that doctors tomorrow can make use of that month to actually during the treatment of the patients, right? So that means the finding of the research actually can lead to the action orientation. Okay, so Your research should have a very specific characteristics which actually makes it very specific, and no research can be of indefinite time. It has to be very time specific. Even when you do the PhD research, when you submit your proposal, they always give you a time deadline. So that time deadline defines that the particular time specific aspect to which you are supposed to bound yourself, to which you are supposed to be aligned, so that your research is actually relevant. If you are not time bound, if you are performing your research to the indefinite time, so your research is not relevant. So that, for example, I'll tell you, today is the time for AI, right? You talk about HR, you talk about finances, you talk about marketing. Every domain is particularly dominated by AI. So today, conducting a research on AI makes sense, but tomorrow, conducting the same AI research tomorrow, as in after 5 years, I don't think so. Stretching today's research till 5 years, will it make sense? No, you have to refine your research questions. You have to refine your problem statement in such a way that whatever you're looking for today makes sense for tomorrow. So all those researchers, all those research PhD scholars who are aiming for PhDs, please make sure that your PhD topic is relevant for the times to be coming in future. Okay. So in a nutshell, what I meant for the characteristics of the research is to be that your research should have a purpose. Okay. Your research can be tested. Like I tell you, that you have a hypothesis, okay, wherein you test the relationship between the variables, that is independent and dependent variables. Now, I'm sure that many of you must be knowing it, the relationship between dependent and independent variables, or rather the concept of dependent and independent variables. But all those who don't know it, let me tell you. So basically, in your research, in any kind of research, you study about the factors, what is happening. Okay. When you choose a problem, like I started with, you study a problem. There is a gap, like gap as in, let me give you an example for that as well. A particular researcher researched about that how eating junk food is increasing obesity in kids. Okay. So obesity was one factor where the particular researcher focused on. Okay. But did the researcher focused on how it is also causing the other factors, that is probably malnutrition, because junk food does not fulfill the requirements of the nutrients a child should get into, right? Okay. So this particular domain or this particular area of the study, you think as a researcher needs to be explored, so you find it as a gap. That particular researcher focused on obesity. You as a researcher is focusing on that how the kids who are eating junk food lacks on the deficiency of certain proteins and the minerals in their body. Okay. So you are focusing, the one factor is common, that is junk food, but the results you are focusing on, that is obesity, and the minerals and the vitamins and the multinutrients in the body is different. So gap you identified, right, from the literature which you understood, which you reviewed, that is research gap, that is problem. Okay. One aspect is clear, what is problem statement. We know, I'll request you that if we can come back to the question and answer after we finish the webinar, that will be great, because if I keep on answering the questions right now, we'll deviate from the problem. Okay. All right. I'll definitely come back to this question once we finish the webinar. Now coming back from problem statement is clear. Now coming back to the independent and dependent variable. Now taking this problem only, that how junk food in kids lack or increases the deficiency of nutrients in their body. Okay, so dependent and independent, understand it into normal English, normal terminology. Dependent is something which is dependent, whose variation is dependent on something. Okay, now in this problem statement, lack of nutrients or deficiency of nutrients, right, is dependent on what? Is dependent on when kids are eating lot of junk food. So what is dependent variable here? Lack of nutrient. Eating junk food is independent, they are eating it. Okay, now eating junk food is not dependent on lack of nutrient. Lack of nutrient is dependent on when you are eating lot of junk food, then there is lack of or deficiency of nutrient is happening. Got it? So you need to understand like this. All right, so something which is having a variation, something which is having a variation because of something, so that variation, no, so that factor which is getting up and down, that is dependent factor, that is dependent variable. The other one which is sitting ideal, that is independent variable. Okay, all right. Okay, so testability you understood, where we test the hypothesis. Replicability, I told you that results can be replicable. Objectivity means that your objectives should be very clearly defined. Objective should be very clearly stated. Okay. Rigor means you need to be sure that you, with the help of your research, is contributing to the current body of knowledge. Okay, see, right now what is happening is, even the government is taking a lot of education department is taking a lot of steps, that people are producing a lot of theses, a lot of universities are producing a lot of PhD scholars with thesis making no sense. Okay, why there was, particularly in India, why there was a question on part-time PhDs, because part-time PhD takes a lot of time. During that time your PhD lacks, lose all the relevance, your topic become irrelevant, your top thesis become obsolete altogether. That rigor aspect you lose completely. Okay, so your thesis should be carefully conducted so that it becomes or it remains knowledgeable throughout the process. Okay, parsimony means that it should be conducted in a very simple and economic manner. See, research does not mean that you are conducting something which is not understood by the people. You are conducting research for the people, so it should be simple, it should be easily understood by them, and plus money matter should be kept in mind. And generalizability means your findings can be easily be applicable to the general domains as well. Okay, so this is what I have to talk about the research. Purpose of research is something. Now understand why I'm telling you, because all those who are into the process of finalizing their research topic or pursuing their PhD research, for them it is very important to understand. Exploratory research is where you conduct a research around a problem which needs to be defined first. Okay, you choose a problem where you explore it first. Okay, when people started understanding AI and its impact in various domains, They started taking this research topic as exploratory topic. Okay. On the contrary, on the other side, when you talk about explanatory research, it is basically topic talking about the explanatory aspect. It is identifying that relationship of cause and effect, that this is happening because this is happening, that why of the effects, why of the research. Here you are not defining the problem, you have the problem with you. Now you are investigating the problem in such a way that why this is happening. Now generally exploratory problems you conduct when you are doing systematic literature review, when you are doing meta analysis. So those kind of researches are generally falling into this exploratory aspect. Okay. However, when you are conducting the quantitative aspects, when you are trying to understand, let's say for example, you are conducting correlations, when you are conducting where you are trying to understand the what is happening, why, that is explanatory. Okay. Wherein you are talking about the descriptive, it is a combination of both, where you are explaining the problem first and then why it is happening. So let's say for example, you are explaining about AI and then you are talking about the impact of AI in HR. So there you are talking about AI which is HR specific. Understood? AI which is education specific. So here in both the cases, the definition of AI will be changed. The definition of AI which is for HR will not be applicable where the definition of AI which is for HR. All right. So descriptive research not only focuses on the why of the problem, but how it happened and what is the problem. It also revolves around that as well. Okay. Okay. So now I have actually given you a tabular structure for what we have just understood, that what is the purpose of the research, where when you talk about exploratory research, you basically go for unstructured research where you are basically not binding yourself, wherein for descriptive research you go for a structured manner, and explanatory you are going for highly structured one. Okay. Exploratory research is primarily conducted as an early stages, where you are not sure of making any decision because you're trying to you're trying to understand the decisions, where you're trying to make the decisions. Okay. Also, when you're talking about explanatory research, you are at the later stages of research decision making, wherein you are trying to uh, you know uh, understand the cause and effect of the problem. Okay. All right. So let's move ahead. Now obviously when you understood the object research, what is research, so you very clearly understand what is the objective of the research, why you are conducting the research. So there is no need to again back to it. That is you are trying to unearth what has been unknown to the people. Okay. Now here this is very important for us to understand, that is how to find your own domain of research. Okay. Now this is kind of very important also, and sometimes it becomes very confusing as well, because we hear a lot of things from a lot of people. Our supervisors say a lot of things, webinars like these says a lot of things, there are a lot of things on Google as well, a lot of things on internet as well. YouTube is full of these things, but how to implement all of that, right? So very simple thing, I follow very simple basic thing. Firstly, you need to choose a topic. Now how to choose a topic, that is whatever interests you. Okay. Whatever you think is relevant in your domain, More precisely, in order to pursue a in order to pursue a PhD, you have to pursue your masters. So during your masters journey, whatever topic, whatever has garnered your interest to the fullest, whatever has gained your interest to the maximum, study that. Okay, choose that. Investigate about that more and more. Find resources. That's what I'm saying. Investigate about more and more. See, today, like today, as in when we did our PhD, it was a decade back. Um, AI and Chat GPT, Perplexity, all these sources were not there. Yeah, I'm not saying that internet was not there, but internet was also, we never used to use that much. We used to visit physical libraries or journals, physical journals. Today, everything is at your disposal, right? So find relevant sources. Find relevant sources. I'm not saying it is starting off your research. It is to understand that this is something which I would like to pursue my research in. Very clear, right? So, because this is even more difficult than to pursue a PhD. Trust me, that what to work on. If your supervisor suggests you, well and good, nothing like it. But if your supervisor suggests you something which does not interest you, that is more killing. Trust me, that is very, very clear. So go back to your master's journey, choose a topic which interests you, dwell deep upon that, read more upon that, then organize, write, and cite. I mean, organize, write, and cite means that understand more and more about it. Okay. Then moving further to it is how to identify the research gap. Now, you identify the topic, you identify the sources, but that's not something which you can work on. That's not something on which you can start your research on. You need to start your research on a research gap. How to do that? Okay, how to do that is that you have to first analyze the existing studies. Here, existing study in a simple language I'm telling you to do is a literature review. Okay, simple. Then, like I just gave you an example, that a particular researcher is talking about that how eating junk food can lead to obesity. He did not focus on that how eating junk food can lead to lack of nutrition. Okay, so these kind of unanswered questions you need to focus on. Okay, now your attention, and now how this attention will come across, that you need to pay attention to. Something relevant issues which are not answered, some latest recommendations which the author themselves are telling to follow on, all this you have to follow, right? So for that you have to see that what all answers are not being paid at heed to in this particular research. Okay, then note contradictory findings. Now contradictory findings means that you are going through different sources of literature, you are going through different literature, so there you are finding this particular author is saying something else, this particular author is saying something else on the same topic. Okay, now I need to pay attention on this particular topic. This is like I said, that same topic but two different opinions. I can investigate on this. So when you find these kind of contradicting opinions, that means you have some scope there to work on. Okay, then consider emerging trends. Like I told you, something which is like, how you find a lot of researches on AI these days. Why there is, because AI is emerging trend, right? Rather, I should say that it already has emerged. That's why researchers like us have lot of is are finding a lot of scope in that sustainability. We're finding a lot of scope in that. So you need to pay attention to what all is, or rather what is the emerging trend in your domain. Okay, then you have to see that what all are the practical implications, what all are the practical applications of the gaps which you have find out, where the answers to the gaps which you have found out can give um, you know a better source to all the corporates or worldwide scenario, how the source, how the findings to the gaps can be applied to the worldwide scenarios. Okay, then anything which is unrepresented or unpaid attention, pay attention to that. Very simple. See, this, I would say that this seems very easy, but sometimes this is the step which takes a lot of time. Rather, this particular steps takes a lot of time, but once this is done, your majority task is done. Trust me, this your majority task is sorted. Okay. Okay. Now coming to research topic. Now this is categorically getting more and more precise to the people who are here to submit their research proposal. Any topic which is any subject in which you as a researcher are interested, okay, which can be elaborated as a project. Now, being interested in something or a topic which can be stretched to an extent, which can be developed as a project, they are two different things. Okay, so you need to be interested in a topic which can be stretched in a thesis. Okay, so you need to be firstly interested in the topic. Second thing, it should have a scope to be converted in a project. Second thing, a research topic is that question which you need to answer in your paper, in your thesis, in your project. Okay, all right. Okay, now you have couple of topic which you think that are of importance, which I think I'm interested in, I think I am good at, or I think I am uh, um, I need to go on. But which one to finalize, which one to go for? So firstly, go for something which is more relevant. Very clearly, see, we as a researcher, we are here to contribute something which is right now applicable. See, it's not only good for your thesis, because even if you will write papers on, which is a mandatory requirement for your thesis completion, you will write papers, you will submit it to journals. The journal editor will not accept the paper if it's not relevant, if it's not contemporary, right? Then do not go for a very broad one, right? Like for example, I we just took an example of how obesity leads to lack of nutrients. So obesity, lack of activity, obesity, lack of sleep, obesity, lazy kids, junk food, lazy kids, junk food, lack of activity. These are the factors which I'm relating to each other. Okay, a broad one. Now I need to filter them. What makes a kid less active? What makes a kid lazy? A kid is lazy when he is probably not moving around much. Okay, one thing. Or when he is not having enough energy. How come he is not having enough energy? When he is having some deficiency in the body. Okay, so that deficiency is that part which I funneled to. So that we say that funnel approach of narrowing down to my topic. Okay, so I need to narrow down my topic. And how do I narrow down that? I need to follow to the literature, that so that I can cover my research in a stipulated time. Understand, if my research topic is too broad, it will be difficult for me to cover. There will be too many objectives, which is practically not possible, right? So I have to cover it in a stipulated time, firstly. Second thing, I need to make people understand that this is specific factor I'm understanding or I'm covering in this research. Okay. Okay. Now, then this suggestion I give to all of you, that please ask your supervisor that this is something which I'm talking about, which is something which I'm thinking about, because yours and his or her research interest is very important to be on the same page, because you both are going to work together. So definitely you need to take their permission. And when your both interests are on the same page, it becomes fun and engaging that you are on the same research interest page. Okay. Okay. So this is a snapshot of this. These are the w's which I say that when you are selecting a research topic. Firstly, why did you choose this topic? Because what interests you, who are going to get information about it. You're talking about the policymakers, you're talking about the customers, you're talking about the educators, you're talking about the parents. Like, for example, when I'm talking about this particular example of chanting of mantra, so medical fraternity is going to get benefited, right? The general people also get going to get benefited, because if they have any ill person at their family, so they can chant this particular month, right? So this research about junk food and lack of nutrient, doctors are definitely going to get benefited, but parents are also going to get benefited, right? So you need to understand who is going to get benefited. What means your research questions, what are going to study in that, where, which level you're going to study. For example, this chanting study is conducted at Delhi level, this obesity study is conducted at US. So can the same study can be generalized? This tests your generalizability. When means what is the time period of this study? Okay, this chanting study can be applicable 10 years from the now. Similarly, like the junk food also. But on the contrary, if you pick any COVID study, any COVID period study now, do you think so it is relevant to study now the impact of COVID? Because we have a lot of already research, published research papers. So you need to be understood very clearly that what is the relevance of our study. Okay. All right. So moving ahead. Now, this is a snapshot of finding and choosing a research topic. So firstly, you need to like, I think there's a question also, how can we find out existing research about a topic? So I think, Vikram, this is for you. This is your question, this is the answer for your question, that you need to find out the interesting ideas, whatever you think. Okay, then brainstorm about the idea, any personal project of yours from the past. Okay, then you need to do the concept mapping, that this can lead to this idea, this can lead to this idea, review these projects. Okay, then you need to understand that what actually I am good at, which actually comes into rationalizing the idea. Because if I say that I'm not going into quantitative studies, research statistical part is not good, so it's not obvious to go for quantitative studies, or where is analyzing or statistical aspect is required. Okay, search the literature, go for more and more discussion with the people, professors, tutors, and then very importantly, go for the past dissertations. Very importantly, go for the past dissertations, study the past dissertations. Okay. All right. All right, let's skip that. Now, very important, all those who are into their research proposal stage, research proposal is that glimpse of the um, your research work, proposed research which you haven't done right now, which you planned to do, and you are submitting it as a snapshot, as a summary of your research to the university. Okay, This is a requirement from the university. Okay, you call it as a project research, the research proposal project, research thesis also, sorry, synopsis also some universities called is that. Here what you are aiming to discuss with your university is that this is something which I would be working on. Understand this thing. You are not telling them the entire thesis, you are just telling them the proposed research. Okay, so your research questions, the significance and the originality of the research methodology, okay, and how your research is going to contribute to the current research. Is this what the examiner is looking for? Nothing else. Because they know that the whole of the research is going to get conducted later, but how well you are informed about that research already right now, is that what they are there to look for. Okay, so now let's have a look on the different aspect of the research proposal. Okay, now the universities which ask you for the research proposal, understand it's a mandatory part. Okay, mandatory means you can't pursue a PhD with the university if you do not qualify with your research proposal with the university very clearly. Okay, so give your best with this research proposal. Clearly communicate your idea. When it comes to research questions, do not give 5, 7, 8 research questions. 2 to 3 is enough. Similarly, with research objectives, do not give a number of research objectives. Stating too many research objectives does not make your research a good research. 3, 4 is enough. Okay, and whatever research methodology you are quoting, kindly justify it. If you are going for mixed method research methodology, you need to have a clear idea why. If it is a systematic research, then why? So your examiner is there to understand that yes, whatever research methodology you are going to implement in your research later, you have a clear idea about it. Okay, they are trying to understand that. Okay, so they are not there that whether you are very clearly are able to implement it later or not, but they are there to understand that whatever you are going to implement it, you have that understanding that why you are there, why you are implementing it or not. Okay, all right, so you need to have a clear understanding of that. Now, goal of research proposal, now this is what I'm telling you, is that research gap should be very clearly mentioned in your research proposal. Okay, Mr. Gaurav also have asked this question, that research theme actually is, Mr. Gaurav, is that what all are the goals of your research. Okay, so you can actually summarize those into this research proposal and tell with the help of your literature review and background in summary in this research proposal what all are the arguments, perspectives you have found. So by the end of this research theme which you find, kindly do not forget to clearly discuss this research gap very clearly. Okay, and how your current research will add on to the existing body of knowledge has to be mentioned very clearly. Okay, so these two things should be mentioned in your research goal or research proposal. Okay. Now let's have a look on the content of research proposal. Now, firstly, very clearly, title. Now, title and topic are two different things. Title is that name given to your thesis or your proposal. Now, at the research proposal stage, many university does not make your title finalized. Topic is that domain from where you pick that title. Okay. Consumer behavior is that domain where you're picking the title for your thesis. Okay. Many university does not finalize the title of your thesis at this research proposal stage. However, few does so. So this depends upon the institution to institution. Okay. If they do it, if they do finalize your title during this finalization of research proposal, you'll not be able to refine or revise your title later. So please pay attention to this nitty gritty when you are submitting a research proposal with the title. With so it is a tentative title or a finalized title, you have to pay attention to it. Next comes abstract. Now, abstract basically is a concise summary of your entire proposal at this time. So, proposal is a summary of your thesis or your proposed project. Abstract at this time is a concise summary of your proposal. It is generally limited to specific number of words wherein you are telling them what is the problem, what is the central question you are trying to address, how will you address it, and what are the tentative findings you are aiming to find. That's it. Okay. Then comes research context. Now, what is the research context? Research context means what is the area, general area where you will conduct the research. Which particular body of knowledge where your research falls into. What is the recent debate around your topic? Now, when I'm saying recent debate, just stick to the recent literature. Okay. Now, how it will help you to tell your examiner or what impression it will create to your examiner? It will tell your examiner that yes, you as as a researcher is updated with what all happening in your domain. Okay. All right. Now comes research questions. Now, as I told you, please, research questions should not be too many, because out of those research questions, see, research problem derives research questions, derives research objectives. So, too many research questions will give rise to too many research objectives, which we don't want. So, too many research questions should be avoided. Rest, please have a discussion with your supervisor. So these research questions actually gives a directions to your research, right? So obviously if you have too many research questions, this means you are in a way unclear where your research is going, which we don't want to reflect. Okay. So make sure that your research questions are very specific and practically approachable. Very clearly. They are practically approachable. Okay. Now, again, I am telling you these research questions, and I'm telling you research questions. Now, how will they come to you? Now, when are you finding the research gap? That is your problem. Now, then you narrow down those problems. You break down the research problem, which will help you to come down to research questions. Research question is basically that north, south, east, west directions given to your research project. So examiner is actually looking forward to that clarity which you have. Okay. Then comes your methods, research methodology. One of the very, very, very important aspect for your proposal. How you are going to conduct this research. As I told you, justification of this methodology is very, very important. Why? What are you going to do? How you are going to do? Please make sure you explain the why of the research. I'm not saying that many of the proposal does not ask for sample size. They do not go for too much of the detail of it, but superficially the research methodology and overview of research methodologies do required, and justification of the same is definitely required. Then comes significance of the research. Definitely that how you are going to contribute towards the current body of your literature, how your research is. Now, having said that, what all the content of the research, I said that title, abstract, research questions, and research method, whatever now we have discussed. It is a general contextual structure of a research proposal. It is subject to change and to the university, different institutions changes. Some may have research questions, some may not have research questions, they may have research objectives. Okay, some may have significance of research plus implications of research as well. So you need to follow the structural guidelines of the institutions to which you have applied for your proposal submission, and carefully follow the guidelines given by them. So you just can't be relying upon this blindly, because this is a general one, right? This is a general structure. This will be there. However, slightly here and there, structural alignment can be changed. Okay. Plus, when I tell you about this, research context can be changed at literature review. Here you have to give the in-text citation. Within the text citation, within the text references, you have to mention. Apart from this, wherever you feel like that you have to mention the in-text citation, please you have to mention the in-text citation. So in-text citation, mark it as a mandatory aspect, you have to give. Okay. Then comes your bibliography, which is last but not least. So which gives a detailed description of the work, full detailed description of the work you have adapted from the different sources. Okay, whatever in-text citation you have mentioned within the text, you will detail it. Okay. Okay. Now the content, you know what all will be there. Now comes how to write it. So how to write it is basically, it is one of the kind of academic writing. So make it simple, no jargon language. Okay. Plus, structural guidelines need to be followed. When I say structural guidelines, whatever the font sizes, whatever the boundaries needs to be followed, whatever the borders, even that needs to be followed very clearly, very, very clearly. Okay. So you need to follow the template given by your institution. Okay. Has to be very clearly represented, has to be structurally aligned. And remember, whatever research questions you have posed in your research proposal, whatever research objective you have posed in your research proposal, make sure they are answered, or your examiner get to know that yes, you will find the answer to this by this. Okay. Tentative results and findings, tentative findings. So your examiner should get a hint that you have an idea that how you're going to find the answers to these questions. Okay. Now, you prepare a draft of this, which is definitely not the final version. So, the point is how to prepare a final version. So, this is the point where you need to edit it. Now, we do editing so that your paper is reading ready, your proposal is reading ready. So we don't only do the research proposal editing, we do it for paper, we do it for thesis. Even all those who are at the thesis level, they must have done it, they must have done it mandatorily, right? So there are a couple of kind of editing. First is content editing or substantive editing, which allows the editor to examine the structure. Here, in this case, you are the editor. So, how you have structured, how you have organized the content, how the different sections are organized. See, at the various stages of the selection of the proposals, these things are carefully viewed, these things are carefully being taken care of, whether your proposal is arranged or not before sending it to examiner, which is being in taken care of content editing by you. Then copy editing stage, which wherein you are taking care of the grammar, the languages, the spelling errors, the syntax, the punctuation. See, a poorly written proposal, no matter good methodology, very good literature, but a poorly written language in terms of spelling errors, grammar error is outrightly rejected. So make sure to edit it at this stage. Okay. Okay. Now, when you say the research proposal proofreading, so you have to do content editing, which I told you that you have to see the structural alignment of it. Okay. Line editing is each line makes a flow towards the another line. Now, why I'm telling you is that, for instance, you are at the literature review section. So, you in the thesis, you have a scope of writing literature review as a chapter. So, you can have definitions, you can have background, you have model and theories. Now, in proposal, where you have limited scope of words, you have limited scope of pages, what to accommodate, where to accommodate, and how to accommodate. So you have to choose the best possible definitions and best possible lines so as to link those definitions with the remaining literature. And lastly, when you do the line editing, beautifully insert the different phrases and the structure. Okay, see, because research proposal editing is very important because you have limited amount of scope to insert the maximum information. Copy editing, it actually allows, the most important thing is that is the kind of referencing you have done. And trust me, I have seen proposal myself that bibliography is very very fairly done, but there is no in-text citation. There's no need to go through that proposal, because when the researcher is not carefully follow the structural guidelines only, then there, what is the point of giving him or her a chance to even present the proposal? Now you'll think that, you as an examiner becoming very harsh or strict. No, because you as a researcher has been given a time to prepare the proposal and to go all the research structural guidelines. And lastly, the proofreading, where you need to give the line spacing, page number, indexing, everything. So just there should be no scope of any mistake. Okay. So now you know that why editing and proofreading is important, because it gives a fresh look to your work. It's like icing on the cake. So the cake is tasty, but it should look good as well. Okay. Yeah. So when you are doing editing and proofreading, I think this is applicable for your thesis also. Take a break. Take a break from your document. Take a fresh look of your document. If not from the screen, take a printout of your document. If you're short on time, take the important section, like if not literature review, go on to the methodology first. and give it to somebody else also if you are not able to do it. Now this is something which is important. I would like to share it. Not every one of you is good in editing and proofreading, and there is no harm in accepting it. Many of your papers and proposals, they get rejected because of your poor grammar, poor English, poor structural alignment, in short, poor editing and proofreading. Don't play around with your work. If you're good in research, does not mean that you're good in editing and proofreading it. Give it to somebody else. It's there's no problem in that. Okay. All right. So there are some online proofreading tool as well if you would like to use them. This is for your references. A couple of them are free as well, where you need not to have any subscription in that. Okay. And here now, how can I not talk about AI in this webinar? I will answer everything at by the end of the webinar. So right now we are making use of AI, or of course, AI has become the best of the pals of all the researchers. But AI plagiarism is being captured by the universities at the sniff of the fingers, right? So there are various plagiarism checker tools which can actually helps you to check your plagiarism if your work is AI delivered. Okay, if your work is AI delivered. For instance, CopyLeaks, which helps you to get the potential database if you have delivered it from mm, if you have get the work from AI. Then originality AI. So you have a lot of AI plagiarism checker tools as well. So I have given it all. All right. So this is all for your reference. Now it comes, now you have checked the editing also, you have checked the proofreading also, you have checked the AI plagiarism as well. Now it's time for you to submit it. Now first is, you have to make sure that your work is relevant, that I told you a number of times that examiner is only looking at two things. Firstly, how relevant your research is, because nobody wants to waste their time as a supervisor to something which is not required, and how justified the research is. Okay, then your methodology, that's what I said, how justified your research is. So clear methodology, clear proposal is what you are looking for, is what you're aiming for. All right, then pay attention to the time frame and the budget. Now if your research is funded, so obviously these two things you need to tell is is to your examiner, because this is the question which you're going to get from them, that how you're going to ensure that this is a uh, time checked research, how you're keeping budget in time in check and time in check. This is you're going to tell. And submission guidelines, just pay attention to the submission guidelines at all the time. All the time means all the time till end. All right, okay. So now we are here for the questions of yours. Okay, let's start with Gauri's questions. Yes, couple of them are free, Gauri. Most of them which I have listed for you in here are free. Free as in the initial usage is free. Later on, you may require to have a subscription. Like for example, for Grammarly, for the after the initial usage, you may have to have some subscription. Atendra, limit of number of words in abstract and research proposal. See, generally, Atendra, your abstract for research proposal generally go for 250 to 500 words. I'm saying a general word limit 250 to 500 words. However, the institutions tells you this word limit and the structure. Now, Gauri, I would not be the right person to tell you the computer-based science title. Now, I can tell you that how you can formulate the title. Now, title should be the one which reflects the theme of your research. Maybe you can use the research methodology used in your research. You can use the factors used, like variables used in your research, like this. I think, Bikram, I have answered your question. Yes, Venu. How will we know that improvement in critical ill patient is because of chanting or treatment? Yes, Venu. Actually, I told you, like, that two category of patients are being treated with same kind of treatment. It's just that one factor is extra. That is the chanting. So then the doctors are actually studying the improvement in both the patients. Treatment is same, every other condition is same, it's just the chanting is extra. That, and disease of the patients is also same. Yeah. Is there any technique to define a unique research title? Now, when you say defining a unique research title, when you go through literature, right? When you go to the literature review, when you study research, a lot of articles, a lot of papers, you'll understand that in your particular domain, that I understand it's computer science, how authors devise, how authors define the research titles, how they form their research titles. So then you'll get an idea that how I need to be different from them. Okay, any particular way I can, any particular word I can use to have in my research title to be different from others. Any other questions anybody's having? Any other questions anybody's having? Is research proposal different from synopsis? Yes, yes, it is. It is different from a synopsis. Synopsis is slightly in when you say that in length, it is slightly lengthier than the research proposal. However, some universities want synopsis, some universities want proposal. Proposal is slightly shorter than your synopsis. Yes, Remy, please. How to do a literature review, because when I say do it, I will easily get carried away. It is commerce hub. It is very, it is a very common problem with all the researchers. So you need to find the right way. Are you doing it online or are you doing it print way? Give yourself break. Firstly, you need to identify that whether you are a avid reader or not. You like reading or not. If you don't like reading, it is very easy for you to get carried away. If there is a single variable, how can we split and publish into two? Amy, I didn't understand your question. If there is single variable study, you need to have two, right? You need to have two to have, because influence of one variable you will study on other in any research. So in any which ways, one variable can be studied, but you would like to study the influence of one variable on the other. Which AI tool is helpful for research purpose? Like Suresh, research, the entire research purpose has a lot of things in it. So, what exactly you want to do with AI in that entire research purpose needs to be identified first so that the AI tool can be identified. How do we make sure that the topic or the gap we are choosing is not going to be redundant till the time it get published? We know that's a very good question. Actually, you know what? See, no study is going to. It is not. Obviously it is not sure that no study is going to get obsolete in the times to come. But what do we do is that we as a researcher need to do some foresightedness. We need to do some foresightedness, and that's why we say that we need to do some, or not some, we need to do some extensive literature review, that in recent years what as a topic, what as a gap has not been studied by majority of the authors, that is something which will have its relevance in the coming years. Like in PhD, there's a requirement to publish in national. Yes, yes, Remy. So if there is a requirement to publish in national and international journals, which I clearly understand, then instead of focusing on the variables and the factors, you focus on the chapters to get published. You what you do is you derive the papers from your PhD thesis. Okay. Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Amit. Thank you. Are the AI tools assistants reliable to conduct research? Gauri, as a faculty, I really don't make any comment in that. To be very true, I really don't, because I don't use AI tools much. I won't see. We are living in a digital age. I don't say that you can completely get rid away from them, but keeping plagiarism in mind, you need to keep a check on that as well. Thank you, Teen. Thank you, Suresh. Can we change the objective later after submitting the proposal? Yeah, good question, Gauri. That depends upon the university you are submitting to. See, there are two kind of complement compulsion. Generally, institutions imply. One is on your title and one is your objectives. The objectives compulsion is very rare, that you can't change your objective. You can do it. In most of the cases you can actually refine your objective. They don't say that you can change your objective, because if you change your objective, your methodology will also be changed. Changing methodology will say that the original proposal which you have submitted at the time of your interview will also undergo a change. So refinement of objective is generally which is allowed. How does one fund? One does not fund research. Different bodies fund research for which you have to apply, Vikram. Okay. Is bibliography used for research proposal when it is required? Yes, Atendra, it does. Can we mention the tentative title by forming the RSC during proposal computation? We know you don't say that it is tentative title. If the RSC is saying that your title will get freezed after your proposal finalization, you can't say that it is tentative title. It has to be finalized only. As I can understand, as we can't change the title of one. Yes, I mean now Gauri and Venu, both of you understand. It is depending upon the institution to institution. Various institutions do give you a chance to refine your titles also. I am saying refining your title. Again, I'm not saying changing your title completely. They do give you a chance to refine your title. Okay. Any other questions? Please feel free. So these see your proposal. Understand the usage of proposal. Proposal is to tell the RSC and the examiner committee that this is something which you have in mind and which you would like to which you would like to pursue. Now you are saying that this which I presented in front of you, I would like to change it completely. That's not possible. Complete change in title they don't allow. That I'm sure of. Refinement of title is something they can afford. Are we supposed to refer to mainly latest research papers, say 24 to 5? It can be more than that also, Worry. I can't say that it's only 24 to 25. You can find out the research gap. It can go up to 50, 70, and 80 also. Yes, it can reach up to more than that also. So I can't say that. No, in just 1 year, you can't say that you will find the research gap. No, you can't. You can't. You can't. Just 1 year of research, you can't. No. See, when you say the latest researcher, the latest literature, that means you need to go up to at least till 5 years or 10 years. Yeah. Chapter wise, we can publish as well as present also. Yeah, you can, you can. Many welcome, Gauri. And Rimi, please ask your supervisor also for this. You're welcome. So see, what happened is when your supervisor says that we will publish paper on the basis of variables and we will publish papers on the basis of chapters, that completely depends upon the discretion of your supervisor. Like for example, me as a supervisor, I allow my candidates to go for the publication on the basis of the chapters, right? On the basis of the chapters, I go for it. So you need to get in touch with the supervisor, asking his or her opinion that I should go for the variable publication or I should go for the chapter wise. Okay. But both of the kind of publication are okay to go ahead with. Yeah. Any other question anybody is having? Please feel free, guys. See, if you have synthesis, synopsis in requirement for any institution to be presented, so then in that case, your literature will be slight bit more. Your methodology will be slight bit more. You'll have to accommodate objectives also. So, that's what I say that a research proposal is slightly smaller than the research synopsis. Yes, Gauri, I'm always confused while finalizing the topic to research. I had to prepare proposal. No, no, Gauri, there is no. See, you are from computer science. That's what I understand. So you are coming from a domain which always have something which is very relevant to offer you, which is very relevant to offer you. So in that case, what I'll suggest you that go and look forward to the latest conferences in your domain, which are happening right now across the globe. What happened to the conferences? It is not only for you, for the rest of the audiences as well. That conferences always been organized on the topic which is latest in the area, which is latest in the domain. They happen all, or they are being organized on the latest theme. So these conference themes will give you idea. The topics, the sessions on these conferences will give you an idea then what on write. Yeah, and then if you have more than two promising areas to dig into, then in that case, go for the area which has literature to offer you. Yes. Thank you, Seema. Thank you so much. And it's always a very pleasure to see you always in the webinars. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Mole. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. So you'll be notified for the next webinar, and I hope to see you always. Thank you, Renu. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, Remy. Can we split the study into pilot study and final study also rather than chapters? Remy, see, in that case, what happened is pilots, see, understand why we conduct pilot study. We conduct pilot study because, let's say, for example, if you have some questionnaires, if you have some quantitative study where you are conducting a study on large number of people. So in that case, firstly, you would like to conduct it on a sample, or you want to run a pilot run. You want to conduct a pilot study that whether The study, the data collection tool which I'm utilizing is right or wrong, right? So pilot study is being conducted to make sure that the data collection tool which we are using is right or not. So it is added, or it is being discussed in research methodology chapter. That particular tool is being tested by conducting pilot study. Okay. However, when it comes to chapter, you need to organize your thesis into chapters only. Okay. Yes, Mr. Babu, do we need to include a part of chapters in no, 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 you need not. No. Thank you, Gauri. Thank you so much. Please come frequently with more. Thank you, Renu. Thank you. Sure, sure, we will. Thank you. And we get that. You're sure, Miss Anmol, you will get. Can you brief about to make the chapters also? Sure. See, when you talk about the, I'll just give you a brief snapshot of the PhD thesis chapters. Your introduction chapter, your literature review chapter, your research methodology chapters, your results and analysis finding chapters, and your conclusion chapter. These is the generic structure of PhD thesis across the globe. Okay. Now, when you talk about uh, the results and finding, in that you discuss the various answers to the objective which you formulated in your research methodology. Now, that is up to you how you organize that chapter. Rest remains the same throughout. Okay. Yes, Mr. Suresh, the PPT will be shared with you. Thank you, Atendra. Thank you, Gauri. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for taking time on a Sunday evening. So I wish you all the best, and we will see in the next webinar. Thank you so much. So I hope, Remy, you are well answered with your question. And for this further explanation, I always suggest that get in touch with your supervisor. But as far as my understanding and my knowledge goes, that your thesis has always been organized in the chapters. Okay. Pilot study you have conducted will be mentioned in your research methodology chapter. Okay. Yes, Mr. Anmol, you can get in touch with me or with the help of the number and the email which I shared in the starting of the webinar. Okay. Thank you, Mava. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Remy. Thank you so much. So let's get connected for the next webinar very soon. Thank you, everyone. Yes, Yukti, will you please brief about writing abstract and introduction? Okay. See, I think I discussed about writing abstract. When I say that abstract, it's a brief summary of your research proposal where you were very clearly mentioning about the problem statement. You're talking about how you approach that problem statement and what are you going to find out. Tentative finding, these three things mainly. I'm talking about the abstract of the proposal, not the abstract of the paper. Very clearly, I'm telling you. Okay. So when I tell you about the introduction of the thesis tells you that you firstly introduce the topic to the reader. So now understand, I'm telling you two different things now. Introduction of the PhD thesis is a chapter which is much wider than a proposal. So where you have a scope to talk about the tight topic, you're briefing about the topic, you're talking about the background, you are introducing about the problem statement, you are taking the audience to what makes you to choose this topic. This is all about introduction. Okay. It will be in next 2 weeks. Every fortnight we conduct this webinar. Okay. Yes, Atendra. Atendra, can I request one thing? The spelling of ma'am is MAM. Okay. I'm so sorry for pointing out, but it's MAM. I'm requesting you that please take care of one webinar for understanding. For sure, we'll take care of that thing. And does one need to refer all the primary sources before preparing a proposal? So, Mr. Bapu, it's not primary sources; it's secondary sources. I understand that you're talking about the literature sources. Okay, so that they are referred to the secondary sources. Yes, as much as you have used, but when it comes to the research proposal, you are good to go ahead with 30 to 35. Yeah, they are good to go ahead with that. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anmol. Thank you, Vishali. Once again, thank you. Thank you so much. Abstract, when it comes to Yukti for paper writing, it is again, your generic first line is very generic. Problem, slide bit how will you approach the problem, tentative finding, and significance of the paper. Okay, significance of the paper. Tentative finding means because obviously you have already done with that paper, and in proposal, why we say the tentative finding is not that elaborative, because you are not done with the research yet. That's the major difference. Uh, Thank you, Remy. You can get in touch with me with the help of the details which I have shared with you in the starting of the webinar. Okay, sure. It will lovely to catch with you. Thank you, Yukti. Thank you, Anmol. Thank you so much. See, being a researcher, all those who are into their PhD level, just don't be confused. Relax. It will happen. It will be completed. If it has started, it will be finished also. There's no need to worry. I understand, all of us, even I was also at the stage at one point in time, but I know this all sounds very lecturing types, but it will happen. It will happen. It will sail through very easily. So there is no need to worry. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. So now it's fine for us to wrap up, and soon we'll catch up in the next webinar. Thank you for seeing you. Thank you.